Hello and welcome to this video on the prehistory of criminology. Um, if you are following the videos, this should be video 2. What I want to talk about in this video are just 3 different explanations of um, rule violating behavior that were suggested prior to the scientific era rather, of criminology. Now, I'm going to consider Cesare Beccaria in the scientific era as well, even though his theory is more of a philosophical theory, but at least it's coming into the age of enlightenment there. So let's look at the prehistory of criminology. First, demon possession. So there were those who, in ancient times, and who believed that people did bad things because they were possessed by demons, and if the demons were not possessing them, that they would be just fine. Now, this was an explanation for sin as well. So prior to the Age of Enlightenment, many of the criminal laws were based on what was believed to be sin, according to the religious belief of the culture. So there were a lot of folks who believed that demons were possessing the person, and that's why they did these horrible, horrible things. Now, whether you know this or not, you can see that there is a screen shot of a news article. Exorcists are back and people are getting hurt, because there is a more modern belief in demon possession as well. Now, demon possession isn't the only way, not just necessarily being possessed by demons, but by being tempted by demons, letting demons into your life so they influence you in a way, not necessarily in which you are possessed, although I'm putting these two things together. So the photograph here is one of a religious leader who was part of a very popular television show. When it came out that he had molested his sisters, the explanation from his own people were it wasn't really him, it was the devil controlling him. So even though that is a pre-scientific theory, there are still those who believe in it today. Well, we can then move to the colonies, to Western Europe and the colonies. Witchcraft was a big one. So people started going on witch hunts. So you see engravings of scenes from the Salem witch trial. Now, I'm going to get to the pictures on the right-hand side of the screen here in just a second. But witchcraft was a big one. And in fact, there was even a manual. And I am going to stop the screen share just for a second so that you can see this. The Malleus Maleficarum, or the Witch Hammer. So this is a recent printing of this book. But this was published centuries ago. And it is all about detecting who is and who isn't a witch. And when people did bad things, they would say, the witch was controlling me, I never would have done this. So that person then goes through all the trials, and the person who actually committed the acts that were condemned was off the hook. So witch hunts, we're looking for witch hunts. Well, if we go over, and we can actually go back to The Devil Made Me Do It as well, so the picture's on the right-hand side of the screen. There is a documentary called Witch Hunt about Kern County, California. And this happened in the late 80s and into the early 90s. They went to prison and then were eventually exonerated. But it was involved a prosecutor and others who believed in the satanic panic, and they believed that all of these parents were part of a satanic child molestation group. The only problem was there wasn't such a thing. Even today, the prosecutor will not admit that he was wrong, is my understanding. So witch hunts still go on. This belief that people are bad, they're worshiping the devil or they're a witch, all of that, it still goes on. Even though scientific-minded people do not buy these things. Okay, so one last thing, a full moon. I'm not going to regale you with the research on this, but if you talk to people who work in psych hospitals, people who work in emergency rooms, people who work in prisons, police officers, even paramedics, they will tell you that there's something about a full moon that brings out the worst in people, more admissions to the hospitals, more arrests, more people with mental health issues that the paramedics are responding to on the street, more problems in the behavioral problems in the prison, blah, 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 blah. Again, I'm not going to regale you with the research on this, but we can actually look at the numbers and we know that a full moon does not increase the numbers. It just doesn't. But there was a time in the prehistory of scientific criminology that people truly believed that a full moon influenced criminal behavior as well as psychiatric issues. All right. So I want you to be aware of that. So let me stop the screen share. So this is the prehistory of criminology. This belief that Satan or witches or even the moon, by the way, the word lunatic comes from this idea that the moon is causing someone to have significant mental health issues. The problem is we know better. We know better. Now, the next video is going to talk about determinism versus free will. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in that particular video. Have a great day.